What it is. It's a long one for the first day back after the long Easter break. Did you know that in the UK they get Monday off too? Lazy bastards. I am going to tell you a story today. I'm going to tell you a story that you might not have heard. It was developing last night. I watched it happen in real time. We might not get to the news of Israel killing Palestinians. We might not get to the serious news that you might be longing for today. I'm sorry. I cover the news that is most topical often. Most topical to me, that is. And Unirock and Defango in this case. Jerome Corsi emailing QAnon is the conspiracy right now. We have emails between Jerome Corsi and a mysterious figure. And that email was sent to a mysterious YouTuber, and that person called into the Unirock show on Unirock 2, and it developed into a marathon stream. Lots of questions, lots of conjecture. We're going to get into it today. We're going to see if any of the players from this drama tune in, like Defango, like Unirock, who are often tuned into this show, or like Denise Mateau. I think it's Denise Mateau. I'm not sure, actually. She's the one who broke this story by getting a mysterious email. I'm also going to cover a little bit of fake news. Oh, and I'm going to get you up to speed on the March for Our Lives permit, which I've been doing videos about on my main channel, Lift the Veil. So make sure you're still checking videos on that old channel, because that channel still is in the algorithm, so I'm still posting to it. I'm trying to do short videos. And I might post the segment I do just to give an update on the March for Our Lives permit, okay? I'm going to start out the show by giving you a video that's become viral, that went viral on the internet, talking about fake news. And I'll tell you a story about how the mainstream media has actually reacted to it in a way that you might not have expected. Join me for the Lift the Veil experience. I'll see you after the intro.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about the trouble and trend of irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 Your problem. There's a growing anti-intellectual strain in this country. It may be the beginning of the end of our informed democracy.
Okay, cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. I bring you the news, the real news. And a beautiful day it is. I wish you could join me here on the Central California coast. Beautiful 70 degrees outside. Windows open. Doshi's comfortable. I'm comfortable. You're ready for a show. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. That is my producer over my shoulder, Doshi. If you were tuned into Twitch before the show, you got to see him do some activity. By now, for the YouTube show, he is already in his proper brainwave pattern, sleeping. That was fake news. Before I tell you about that, let me give you a word from my sponsor, who demands I do this every show. Truth Revolution Clothing. You may have heard of it. They're at truthclothing.io. Make t-shirts like the one I'm wearing, which is the Mostly Real t-shirt. Lift the veil. I'll show you what the website looks like. Right here. This is our website. On the homepage, you have our 3 featured tees. The most recent, Mostly Real, Truth Matters, and Russian Bot. Everything is in stock in almost every size. Almost every size. Oh, shoot. Somebody just plugged into something to my computer. And there is more stuff there. And thank you for all the orders. We shipped out about 5 packages today with some Doshi stickers and some What It Is stickers. So anyway, check out that shop. The more you do it, the more you help support the show. And you actually get something in return for it, which you don't get on a lot of other channels. The reaction to the fake news. Well, obviously, the fake news campaign is a campaign against our democracy. Convincing people that shows like mine, that sites you might go to on the internet, like, for example, zerohedge.com or a number of other conservative outlets, are fake news, that the news you see on Facebook is fake news, that the news your friends share with you is fake news, and that you need to trust only reliable sources, like your local news anchors. In this case, the local news anchors were all given a directive and a script from their parent company called Sinclair. Obviously, it's part of a New World Order plot to subvert our democracy and to suppress freedom of speech and to malign any anti-establishment narrative. That's not necessarily the point that was taken by the New York Times and other outlets. I want to show you an example of what fake news is really all about when we see it used in the extreme. We had fake news in the Egyptian election. The Egyptian election, which President Sisi, is it al-Sisi, just won by about, he got 97% of the vote, okay, in a democratic election. Let me show you a story about what they were doing before that election to make sure that that vote came in for the incoming president, the incumbent president. Let me find an article that will actually load for me. Let's see. Here's a story from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. I believe it's reprinted from Reuters. Egypt targets fake news amid the presidential elections. Talking about how they arrested someone who is about to create a documentary critical of the president. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi warned that insulting the army or police amounted to treason. For many, Ramadan's arrest signals quite how extreme the campaign against the media has become amid the presidential elections, where the authorities are using charges of fake news to tighten censorship. The Committee to Protect Journalists has warned. They started to strike the foreign press and said that the only You must only get your information from officially sanctioned news sources. That's actually where fake news is going. Yet the narrative, and this is like the top story right now in my Google News feed, is Sinclair videos. So this video went viral, the one I played you. It's been re-uploaded to lots of different channels. Someone said they saw it on Odd TV, but it would have been a re-upload. Sinclair videos renewed debate over media ownership. The narrative picked up is that because Sinclair gave their anchors a script and forced them to read it, and they control about 30% right now of local news stations around the United States, because they force their anchors to read that, and also, most importantly, because Sinclair Broadcasting has been some way a little nicer to Donald Trump than the mainstream media thinks they should be, because Sinclair supports Donald Trump a little bit or claims they do less biased news than the left-wing news. Now they're concerned that Sinclair is going to own too many stations, and that Sinclair was actually talking about companies like CNN or NBC. Donald J. Trump actually came out to support Sinclair after Sinclair was attacked by the left-wing outlets. So funny to watch fake news networks among the most dishonest groups of people I've ever dealt with criticize Sinclair Broadcasting for being biased. Sinclair is far superior to CNN and even more fake NBC, which is a total joke. Apparently, these guys are perhaps about to make a deal with Tribune Media that would have them reaching 70% of American households. 70% of American households. This article is questioning whether that's a good thing for America. And like I said, only because they're not critical enough of Donald Trump, it seems. The thing about their message that should make us all afraid is not that they support Donald Trump and that somehow they're going to feed their anchors information that's going to be propaganda. They're already doing that. The problem is that they're further enhancing the narrative that fake news is dangerous for our democracy, and that fake news they define as on social media, or I dare say channels like mine on YouTube, should you happen to share my thoughts with other people. Then we would warp their thoughts with our propaganda and fake news, and our democracy would be at stake. That's what's dangerous about it. Pretty weird the way the mainstream media, left-wing media, reacted to it as some kind of problem with Sinclair. It's much more dangerous for people like me and people in the independent media who dare to question the establishment ever in any way. But it's a sign that they're losing their audiences, and they need to brainwash them into thinking that they must watch the local news. Don't look at that social media. Don't go to that YouTube thing you've heard about that your kids are talking about. Stay tuned into our channel. I'm thinking of those hypnotic black and white discs right now. So anyway, that's what they're trying to do. Might be more that than trying to crush dissent, but it might be a little bit of both. All right, so on my channel, my other channel, Lift the Veil, I've been talking about an email exchange between somebody and a police officer with the MPD, apparently, the Metropolitan Police Department in Washington, D.C., about permit applications for the March for Our Lives rally. You can check Twitter right now, and I'll show you, and there's still a story spreading that goes like this. Let me go ahead and type it in. This is my last search. Parkland months before is what I searched. While we're looking at this, while the show goes on, there will be new tweets loading all the time, but we have tweets from 22 hours ago right at the top, but these are popular tweets. This millennial Matt made this tweet back on March 31st. Not sure if I should reply to him with my latest replies from the officer himself, allegedly. claiming that Washington, D.C. police confirm March for Our Lives was planned months in advance, long before Parkland, Florida's shooting took place. The claim comes from James Fetzer, who is a noted conspiracy theorist, you can call him. He's guest on a lot of different shows, talks a lot about false flags and hoaxes and staged events that have a goal, in this case, gun control. He, through Ole Damagard, this is the full story now, allegedly, and I have a comment from Jim Fetzer now under my most recent video, which I'll also read you. This was the original email, just to go over it again, which says, MPD received a permit application several months prior to the actual event, and there were several months of planning for this large event. Okay? That's what the email says. It's from this guy, Scott Earhart, with the MPD. It has his email address. I emailed him right away to ask for some clarification on it. And like I said, I've been giving updates periodically with videos. This is just another update. I have another email from him. So the last email I reported on, which Jim Fetzer commented under this video, says they filed March 13th. I asked, what he meant, if he could give me a date for when they filed. He said they filed March 13th. I replied, you mentioned in the email on the 28th that MPD received a permit application several months prior to the actual event. There was several months of planning for the event. What permit application were you referring to in that email? Thanks for your help. He replied at 2:52 a.m. my time, 6 a.m. his time, not the March for Our Lives. This is what he replied. Not the March for Our Lives. March for Our Lives was issued March 13th. Was issued. What? That doesn't say when it was applied for, actually. And then he says, thought they were talking about the March for Life rally in January. That's the response. I don't know whether to keep going back and forth with him because I don't know that he has any motivation to tell me the truth at this point. I imagine he knows that there's some online propaganda going out using his email as a source. I say online propaganda. Everything's propaganda, memes and stuff. He must know that he's been associated with that. I assume someone would have brought it to his attention. And so I don't know that I can expect to get a completely truthful answer from him, and certainly not an answer that would implicate that the rally was planned before. That the application was sent in for the rally before the actual shooting took place, allegedly, in Parkland, Florida. I assume he's not going to admit to that if that's what he was admitting to in the first place. He thought they were talking about the March for Life rally in January. Let's take a look. March for Life rally. Let's see. Here, March for Life. So that was January 19th. And it talks about here's an article about it from Fox News. March for Life, a look at the largest pro-life rally in the United States. I think it says that I think I saw a number along here that says there would be about 20,000 people here. Oh, that was in 1974. The March 45th year, that's this one, estimated that 100,000 people would attend that march. Although a Fox News report estimated that roughly 650,000 pro-life activists attended in 2013. So it's a pretty big march, the March for Life, not the March for Our Lives, which this guy, Officer Scott Earhart, claims is actually what he was thinking about when he replied to that original email. Got it? That's the latest news I have for you. Let me show you the comment from Jim Fetzer underneath my last video on the big Lift the Veil channel, not the Lift the Veil live channel you're watching now. This was my video, March for Our Lives Permit Controversy, new email. I pinned James Fetzer's comment to the top. Here's what he said. Giant step in the right direction, Nathan. Ole received it, the email, from a contact and shared it with me. It is authentic. I called the officer's number and it's his number. The National Park Permit form is incomplete and requires 3 signatures when there's only 1. It does not look authentic. I explained in my comment on your earlier video, which he claims was conspiratorially was shuffled down by the YouTube trolls or algorithm, that you are debunking an authentic report based on the basis of a fake one. So, see, he was saying that I was mistaken in calling his reporting fake news because the permit I was referencing is actually fake news. We'll look at that again. I am glad you are not insisting we were wrong, but are going to do more about this, as am I. It looks to me as though he has been given the word that officially the permit was granted on 15 March. He said 13 March. But the earlier one looks real and credible, and this one to you does not. I can't follow him entirely. The key point is, it would have been impossible to organize this massive march without months of planning. You should not let yourself be played. That is common knowledge, which you appear to be completely ignoring here. Someone in my Twitch chat was saying they've been in touch with Jim Fetzer and I could have him on my show. I'm not necessarily inclined to do that at the moment. I'm not sure that there's anything I am looking to find out from him, since I've been in touch with that same person myself now and gotten the word from him or from that entity, whoever is answering those emails. So I think I'm kind of up to speed on what's going on. I replied to him that I was not ready to jump to the conclusion that the application which I referenced was a fake. It's on an official government website, nps.gov, and it looks like a FOIA request result. This is the application for a permit to conduct a demonstration or special event in park areas. He's saying the application was granted March 13th. This application says it was submitted on February 20th after the shooting. It was submitted, it says, by Dina Katz, who I know from my research was the person who apparently applied for the march permit, the permit for the march. She's the same person who coordinated the women's march. They always say it was just the kids, who planned this whole thing, but there was a lot of outside support. He says there are some signatures missing on this application. I see one signature, Dina Katz. I don't see the other locations where signatures are required. Like I said to Jim Fetzer, I'm not ready to jump to the conclusion that this is fake. Although also I'm not going to say that the original email was fake. I don't think it was fake. It looks like it was real because I emailed the guy on the other end and he didn't deny that it's real. And then he said he's just thinking about the March for Life rally, which I don't really believe, but I don't know that I will be getting any more truthful replies from this person. So that's when you get to a point where you say, well, should I ask questions when I know that the response might be a lie? Is it even worth it? So that's where I'm at right now. I'll do more research into it and report on it as I gather more information, either here or on Lift the Veil main channel. Okay. Now we are getting to the news of Q and Jerome Corsi. Unirock is here in the chat. Unirock is the video I was about to play. He gives a summary of what happened on his show, and maybe he'll be able to join me for this show. That's what I was thinking, to tell me what his latest research found. I think it might be worth playing you guys the summary, at least the beginning of it, for what happened on his show, which was that he got a phone call from this other YouTuber, Denise Mateau, who I know from talking about Quinn Michaels, who covers and follows around the YouTube happenings and often appears in my chat as well and has followed things that happen on this channel. We might see Defango. I had a little conversation with him earlier today. He has some thoughts about me. I'm going to tell you some more about what's going on with American intelligence media, this guy Thomas, how it relates to Defango. Maybe we'll get into all of that. It's such a weird situation, what's going on with Q right now. And this new part might just be a new distraction, a new puzzle, but we're here to analyze things like this and decide for ourselves whether it's a new distraction, a new puzzle. In the meantime, being distracted with a puzzle. It's a catch-22, isn't it? Well, let me play what Unirock said. This is the Unirock show, currently appearing on Unirock 2. Can't live stream on his main channel.
All right, so to sum everything up that we found tonight, because it's a lot of information and it's exceptionally strange. I've been given emails that the code looks right. It looks good. We're having people test it further. That were sent not only to Denise Mattow, but another person and probably many more. We just haven't heard from them yet. We've got emails from Jerome Corsi's Gmail to a strange email address, but it's labeled Q. Let me read what the email says and then tell you about this email address. It says, emails are still screwy here. Are your security concerns solved? Don't lose heart. There's a great work being done. We are making progress through the live stream chat. Now, the subject of this is CBTS, which made me assume that through the live stream chat is referring to CBTS_stream. What's the strange part about this? So this number, this email address, is a large string of letters and numbers at AOL.com. It's labeled Q in Corsi's mail, but if we search it and we just search for the string of numbers, it comes up as the Stonehenge of Reddit.
Okay, can I explain to you guys? This person, Denise Matteau, said she got an email that she was blind carbon copied, BCC'd on an email that included Jerome Corsi and this strange email address with a long string of characters at AOL.com. I now have a pastebin file, thanks to Defango, which has the string of emails which she received, which has at least one email appearing to be from Jerome Corsi to that email address, with Jerome Corsi's email apparently labeling that person as Q. I'll tell you what Jerome Corsi says about it on his Twitter page today. Defango made a video about it too. Anyway, now he's doing an analysis of the string of characters in that email address. I, of course, emailed that address and got an automated response. Let's see. Where is that email? Here. I emailed the address right here. And it says, I got an auto response that said, "Hello, I am unavailable to read your message at this time." So that's what's going on. He did some research into the code of numbers, and then we'll look at the emails, and then maybe I'll talk to Unirock and see what the heck's going on and if it's important.
Now, you'll have to read about this. It's a Reddit mystery. It's been for years. Oh my goodness. Fine, I won't watch your webpage. Can't let me do it with an ad blocker. I just won't watch it. But so this Stonehenge of Reddit is basically a strange subreddit popped up with a bunch of numbers that get generated out called A858 Reddit Mystery. When you take the numbers, decode those numbers down, they actually show up as an image of Stonehenge, thus an ASCII image of Stonehenge, which ASCII, just like my little frog that dances right here, he's made out of little numbers off the keyboard, like 8s and circles and @ signs. When you use the numbers off the keyboards to create an image, then it's called ASCII. It's a type of, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, so this email address that points there had a strange conversation with Denise Matow. I don't know if I even want to read that to you guys, but I guess we can. It's very weird. It starts out with, let me get it. No problem.
Okay, this is where I have this on Pastebin. So, which Defango was kind enough to put together. A string of emails, which apparently ended up being carbon copied to Denise Matow. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. The last email in the thread says it's from Jerome Corsi, JRLCorsi@gmail.com. It's entitled, "Where is Alice?" to Q, and then this string of characters associated with some kind of Stonehenge riddle on Reddit, which is a long-standing mystery on Reddit. That string of characters and the name Jack. Jerome Corsi's email says, "You have a green light with a 2-hour window. Wait for the tweet." Then there's a YouTube video here. Let me just see what the YouTube video is. We're just going to research this a little bit. Okay. This is, Defango must have added that video to a video with Denise Matow. This is her right here, talking about the email exchange way back on March 19th. We're only learning about it now because she called into Unirock's show and I believe got another email chain. Unirock might have to explain it a little bit better. This email thread, and I read through it, is weird. It starts out with this email, "No problem. I'd like to recommend a book to you called More Than a Carpenter by Josh McDowell. It's under a couple hundred pages, but when you're done with it, you'll have to figure out whether Jesus is to you either lore, liar, or a lunatic. He presents enough data on who Jesus is that I think you'll be able to figure it out easily enough. To me, Jesus is my Lord and my Savior. I owe him everything. Have a great night." Well, then they exchange a number of emails. I would read it to you, but it's a lot to read. Let me read you this next one. "Carol, good afternoon. This is from that email address, which Jerome Corsi has labeled Q when he emailed it. This email address, which somehow was getting emails into the inbox of Carol Matow. Carol, good afternoon. Okay. I believe I've located a copy of the book you have recommended to me. Thing is, I am leaving DC, the States, in fact, only for a short time. There's a USAF C-130 refueling as I type. I have found a bookstore that will send it to an embassy at a destination for me, and I will show you photo proof I have the book in my possession. Thanks for understanding my coded posts. Godspeed, Jack with a K." She responds with another strange message. Certain words are capitalized or in all caps. It seems to me, I'll just reveal to you my thoughts on it from reading this. It seems like a puzzle to me, intentionally released into the world. Maybe related to Cicada. I'm not sure how Cicada is related to Corsi. I know that I do know it's weird. I'll copy and paste this Pastebin into here. There's the Pastebin file there in the chat. I don't know what to say except that Jerome Corsi says, I'll go to the Twitter for Jerome Corsi. Let me just get here. Jerome Corsi says 4 hours ago, "This video is also wrong, complete fraud. Please know I am not QAnon 8chan. Never claimed to be. My role is to decode QAnon 8chan for a larger audience. Affirm Q is the same Q and genuine and a real intel source close to real Donald Trump. This Q thing is a gravy train that nobody wants to get off of. Lionel Nation is sucking on the Q teat. Jerome Corsi is sucking on the Q teat. This is something that pays. By the way, it's directed toward evangelicals. The information given by Thomas Paine, aka Douglas Gabriel, is the best information I would say about Q. I don't know for sure that it's related to Israeli intelligence at the moment, but it seems more and more that it may have a Zionist tilt. Not much talk about Israel. A lot of talk about trusting the government, trusting Donald Trump, and a lot of talk about God and Donald Trump in the same sentence. From what Thomas Paine told me and said in his video, and said in his own video, this PSYOP is directed towards evangelicals specifically. And that's why you've developed a cult-like following. Not much unlike a TV evangelist. It's reached 30 million people, by the way. And now they follow it with a religious cult-like fervor. That is Q. Whenever you get into religion, money follows very soon after. I think it's a money train for a lot of people who might not know they're participating in some sort of intelligence psychological operation. So I can't say for sure whether their motivations are strictly financial or more sinister or both. But their motivations are not the truth. I will say that. Anybody that believes, it's hard to say. I want to say that anybody believes the Q baloney is compromised. But some people really believe it. So some people really believe it because the brainwashing goes deep with the Q. It's a PSYOP, major PSYOP. I'd say Doug Gabriel was the closest to talking about it. I will say I think Doug Gabriel is tied up with Cicada. He is a cryptologist after all. I'd had contact with him before anyway, under a different identity or not necessarily the same identity. For some reason, he had an interview with DeFango. DeFango is always in the middle of PSYOPs and ARGs. It just seems to be the case. Sorry, DeFango. You know, when I say that DeFango lies all the time, it's only because provably he does. And I think it's because he's playing these ARGs, he's LARPing, whatever you want to call it. And then every time I say that, he's like, he gets all mad, like I'm being crazy. He's lying about not knowing Thomas Paine before they talked in the interview. He always says what's the thing because he talks and just stuff spills out. He said that this guy, Douglas Gabriel, was authorized to be the one to release this information. Okay, it's all part of a plan from people like Cicada, I guess, which DeFango says he was recruited to be the voice of DeFango on the voice of Cicada on YouTube. It's not a secret. Cicada is involved in is an ARG. It's a puzzle game. So we have DeFango, we have Thomas Paine, aka Douglas Gabriel, also tied up with Cicada. Both know each other from before. So they're pretending for some reason that they're not connected, even though DeFango keeps revealing the connections, saying that they both are working with a group, and he knows that the group authorized Thomas Paine, aka Doug Gabriel, to come out and say this thing. I'm trying to get Doug Gabriel on my show. Now he's done. Now he's ignoring me. I'm trying to get Jason Goodman on my show. Jason Goodman is being smart and ignoring me. I know everybody's paying attention to what's going on here because they're paying attention to what DeFango is saying, and they're paying attention to what Unirock is saying. So I know they're also paying attention to what's happening here, but choosing to ignore my requests. I want an interview with Doug Gabriel so I can ask him questions that nobody else asks, and the same with Jason Goodman. And I do a live show. I'm very fair. I give a platform where people can talk. People are tuned in and interested. There's no reason to say that they would not come on here because it's not a big enough platform for them or what have you. So I'm waiting for these people to join my show. The same way Unirock hopefully will be joining my show. Let me see what's going on. He's talking to me. Hey, Uni. Okay, he's already in chat. Okay, did I go through enough of the information? I'm telling you, it's sketchy as F. Okay, I think Thomas Paine said the best information, but I think he's the least. I don't know. I don't know if you can trust anything from him, except I think what he said was true, and that's what happens is you have real information come out from people that are sketchy. I mean, I don't know what's going on with that guy, except that I think he's a puzzle maker, and they're trying to advance this puzzle, and maybe this new email is some kind of way to advance another part of the QAnon PSYOP puzzle. We're going to find out from Unirock. Hello, Unirock?
Yo, hey.
What's up? Did you hear what I said?
Yeah. Well, I heard all the way up to the last part. You had maybe a 10-second delay.
Oh, okay, cool. All right.
Yeah,
so,
I like what you think, bro. I like you getting the word out on this because it's important, I feel.
Okay, why do you think it's important?
Okay. I don't think it's important because it says anything great, okay, about Q or anything like that. I think it's and dude, I'm losing my voice. I was on for like 12 hours last night.
I know, amazing, good. You were doing a marathon stream. I was hooked. I was hooked in. I stayed tuned all the way to the end of the first like 4-hour stream.
Hell yeah, yeah. I don't stop when I get something.
Yep.
So fucking okay. Sorry to curse.
Watch your language.
I'm trying to get my brain together here. Okay, so why do I think it's important? I think, now this is my own personal opinion. Now, instead of Corsi, instead of Goodman, instead of all those people saying this video is a, whatever Corsi said, a fraud, which obviously it's not. He didn't offer any proof to why it's a fraud. And that backs up. I'm so glad Corsi responded in that way because it shows, his level, his burden of proof to these people like Goodman and Corsi and them. And I'm not trying to put down Goodman either. He's welcome on my show. Everyone's welcome on my show involved in this. But instead of trying to be legit, they think they've got such a stranglehold on the people that watch them that all they have to do is tweet, this is a fraud. And then all those people are immediately going to think it's a fraud. They're not going to try to check the email signatures and check, the code of the email, see if it was really sent by Corsi's account. And because I truly feel, and now I just got up, dude. So I'm going to see if any of the people I have, like, digging through Google Gmail, code and have checked it, which last night the initial checks were good. I'm going to make sure they weren't, proven false. But I'm really good with, code myself. So from what I've seen, I think it's real. And if it is real, if it did come out of Corsi's account, I think it doesn't say anything about Q or any of that. I think it shows us how Corsi is injecting himself into the Q phenomenon, how he, like, his level of trying to dupe his paid supporters, because he knows that those paid supporters are, hooked on him because they're willing to give him money. So, and that's how Denise got into this. She got this info by donating to him. So, I think that he takes donators, feels that they have, this, obsession or this bit of, hooked into it. And he sends them these fake emails where they say things like, it looks like Corsi is communicating with Q, and that Corsi was cool enough to put a carbon copy on to the donators so that they are even more hooked into this. Then they say somebody that's not really educated in computers and maybe someone that wouldn't question Corsi would think, holy crap, he's talking to Q. Corsi is the Q guy. I've got to listen to Corsi. This is real. This is important. So that's my thought after everything I saw last night.
Do you think, have we found out more people who were blind carbon copied on that email thread to give that theory more weight, that everybody maybe in his donor list was?
I don't know, but we have a few people. We
have
more than
one.
Couple.
More than Denise.
And here's the deal. Yes, we do. We definitely have more than Denise. We have physical proof of more than Denise. So, it's not like I'm just going off of anyone's words like Corsi wants everyone to do. Like, everything I'm saying is backed up by an email. And we didn't just take the email and show it to everyone. We had Denise go in and, show us the actual code from Gmail so that we could make sure that what she was saying was verifiable. I almost expected to debunk her like 20 times last night. If you you were watching it, you could tell that I was skeptical and I was trying to debunk her very slickly. Not to be mean to her, but just to make sure the information was good. I was trying to get the code of the email to make sure that she's telling the truth, I was asking her the same questions over and over again, to make sure she was telling the truth. And I know some people are going to say, that the live show that Denise kind of went off the rail, but I just think she's a little bit stressed and pressured over all this, which I think is also a tactic of these people, through online cyberbullying. And you've been through that, to intimidate Denise so that her information may seem less credible than it really is,
Right. Well, and okay, so other people got the email, and that would be other donors. Is that right?
I don't know. I
Okay.
mean, it sure seems that way. Like I said, I just literally woke up, saw you were live, and started chugging caffeine. So
Cool.
sat down.
I appreciate it. I appreciate having you on for your level of expertise. So you've semi-verified that the emails legitimately came from Jerome Corsi.
Came from Corsi, being sent to a strange email address that obviously they didn't put like QAnon at AOL.com. It was a very old email address, that was that Reddit Stonehenge mystery from 6 years ago on the internet, which lends me to think that the people here are obsessed with codes. You see what I'm saying? They're obsessed with this whole coded mystery thing, which made me, and I'm speculating from this point on, but you know how you're saying that you're reaching out to people, you're trying to get them to come on your show and you can't figure it out. Well, there's a reason why they won't come on your show. They won't come on your show and get asked the hard questions because we are fucking right. We have figured them out. They are basically, in my opinion now, and I said in my opinion, so no one can rip me to pieces. They are basically running scared. They're like, holy shit, these guys are actually digging up proof. More people are going to think that we are bullshit. And I just want to address anyone that wants to, I think, and personally, that QAnon, like the first month of Q posting before he was hacked, I think that there's a 50-50 shot. He either could be some legit poster or it could just be a really smart guy or something. I think that this whole psyop, in my opinion, just so I put mine in, is the people that grabbed onto it and morphed it into what it is now, like Corsi and those people. Those people are the psyop, in my opinion.
Okay. Now, rather than the deep state, it's more like the people who are making money off of it?
To an extent. I think that the Corsi and those people are using a psyop. Now, whether or not Q's connected to the deep state and it's the deep state involved, that I could start investigating that too. But see, my thing was when I noticed how much money is involved from real, like, hardworking YouTube viewers and community members, how much of their money is going to fund, so Corsi's company, we found some stuff last night that shows his whole book company made, like, I don't even know, something really low, like $40,000 or $50,000 in a over a period of a year, when he released a book a while back. To me, that's not indicative, in my opinion, of a 6 times New York Times best-selling author. All these little clues that I'm finding kind of take me to this place that, this guy is manipulating people for money. And then I go into his YouTube account and I see in the About section, he drops a Patreon and a PayPal link. And I don't mind if YouTubers do that. But when you have people like Corsi, who is like, the DC InfoWars guy and, writing 6-time New York best-selling books, to see him come in here and start, duping these people with his Q expertise, which he obviously doesn't have, and then turning this into this politically sided, morphed out, strange ass thing that he's doing. And then to see the fervor that people have when this type of information comes out, it does, in my opinion, seem like he's trying to mind fuck these people to an extent.
Right, and to keep them
I'm
sucked
sorry,
into
I
the
didn't
story.
mean to curse again.
That's
I'm not
okay.
awake yet.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But it for your show, like if you curse less, then there's a broader audience for it. That's all. Then I can play it. Then I can play it for my dad. Because it's a great show. What about Cicada and Defango and this guy Thomas Paine and all the puzzles? And what do you think of the email thread? The email thread looks like a puzzle to me. So it looks like
Mm-hmm. The email threads definitely seems like a puzzle. Now, I'm trying to still differentiate. So the first email, the first part of the thread is that guy, the A858 guy, talking to a random girl named Callie Carroll is what he calls her.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out if Callie Carroll and him, if it's all some kind of setup code, or if she is just a person responding and cracked the code, so that's all like stage 2 coming up later tonight, trying to figure all those little details out.
Yeah, well, it certainly reads like a puzzle to me. Have you tried emailing that person? I emailed the Q address and got an auto response.
I emailed everybody.
You did?
Everyone.
Did you get a response from the Callie Carroll address? Yeah.
I'm looking right now. Let me make sure that it's updated. Okay, up to date. It doesn't look like I've received anything from anyone yet.
You haven't. I received an auto reply to the
Oh no, yeah,
email
I got
queue.
that last night.
You got that too? Okay. All right. Interesting.
It's just a big strange thing. Now, people are going to say, like, Uni, do you think this means that Corsi's in communication with Q and all that? And I just want to reiterate again, no, that I think this is all just I think this is telling to what the level of mental gymnastics that they're willing to do to try to prove to people how legit they are. And I don't think that anyone who is legit needs to prove it like this. The truth you spit should prove you legit, not me like creating some, conversation between me and the fake Q or the real Q or some strange email address and proving to donators that it's me talking to Q. I don't think that should be necessary if you're telling the truth. And I hope more people see that. I'm glad you played it.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for doing the reporting. Live YouTube is special because people tune in and then you get unexpected phone calls and stuff. I guess Denise was talking about this way on March 19th, though, huh? And it just kind of flew under the radar.
She's talked about a lot of parts of this, It started out in her mind connected to a lot of things. Now, whether or not that's true or not, people have to listen to what she said, and I don't think it goes as far back as what Denise. I think so. Last night, I'm listening to Denise tell all these different stories, and I'm trying to arrange it in my head and try to piece it together. And I see that, I think Denise is very much convinced of what she thinks is the right answer here. But I'm just going about trying to prove what is and what's not, or what can be proven from her information. So, some of her stuff, I think, is a result of her being, like I said, gang stalked and having these threatening phone calls and things. And I think it's caused her to make some judgments personally that may not be true.
Right.
But they could be. I'm just not. I'm interested in where this links into this current Q craze and, the fervor of all the viewers that will literally, like the people that attacked AIM and how these things are cultivated and, the money that's being donated. That's my interest. So.
Yeah, right. We don't like to see people getting fleeced for bullshit.
Yeah.
Is what we don't want. Okay.
I want them to get fleeced for what, is really there. Like I'm a crazy YouTuber that plays a lot of psychotic animations and crazy music. So if they want to donate to me, they're getting me when they donate. When they watch you, they know what they're donating to you,
Right.
I don't like people that use deception to try to get these things from people. So
yeah, well, I understand that. All right, cool.
Right,
when are you going to be on next talking about it?
Probably in an hour or something or two. Whenever you're done, I'll wait a little bit and jump on. So
okay, cool. All right, Uni.
All right, bro. Later.
Looking forward to your next show. Great. That's Unirock chiming in on the story. The crazy psyop that never ends. Yeah, you can donate to our shows. We just think we do a good job. I mean, what it comes down to in the end is we think we do a good job. And because we do a good job and we don't sucker people in, then people don't give us enough money. So that's why I started selling t-shirts, because at least you get something for that. But you can donate to patreon.com/lifttheveil or paypal.me/lifttheveil just to support the show. Like if you don't want anything like a t-shirt or a Doshi sticker, you can just do that. But you can also just get some stickers too. And then that's really cheap. I mean, if you want to support the show and get something to show for it. You can call in at 650-GAY-TAXI. Sumi snuck in over here in this corner. That's the Boston Terrier. Not one of the directors for the show, but one of the players at this point. Doshi also controls Sumi. Hold on. Let me make sure my phone is open for everyone. Like I said, not only are people invited on, I have invited them on, if that makes sense. It's not just like, hey, open. I've reached out to them specifically. Hold on, let me make sure my phone's open. Here. I've reached out to these people specifically, including Jason once again today, Jason Goodman, because, we want to know what the hell is going on, and we're the only ones who we trust to ask the questions that we want to know the answers to. This is Nathan. You're on the air.
Oh, hey, this is Nathan Kettle. We talked last week.
What's up?
I was at work.
Oh yeah, are you?
I'm not at work today. So
Great.
But this will be a brief phone call. I just wanted to say two things. One is that my YouTube account is now inaccessible. It's not deleted, but I can't access it. Even as a third.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm about to. I think I know the problem you're talking about, but go ahead.
Okay, and I've been looking at everybody in the live feed in the messaging.
Yep.
And I see that some other people are having this problem too. My theory on that is that if they make your account inaccessible, but the videos are still available, then there's no ammo for the quote unquote conspiracy people, they're deleting my channel. It's like, you still have your channel, but you can't access it or post anything, and so they're kind of taking that away from people. My only and number two, I was just going to say is that I believe that mainstream media has now caught on to the fact that a lot of people are getting their news from YouTube, and a lot of people are getting their news from independent, real journalism, So I think what's going on is that they're trying to infiltrate, and that's why you have people like InfoWars and stuff like that I believe are controlled opposition. But because they're able to post videos with titles that if I had that as a title in my video, it wouldn't even be allowed to go up for a second. So I think it's controlled opposition, mainstream media, and everyone else, the powers that be, what have you, whatever you want to say, but they know now that people are starting to think a little bit too much, and we know that that's very dangerous. And so they're starting to infiltrate our media, our medium.
Right.
So
or trying to make sure other people that they stop losing audience share to independent media too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And what happened before I got unable to access my YouTube account was I couldn't get any updates. I was surprised that I even got notified for you. But also, normally when somebody likes a video of mine or something like that, I get a notification, and now I'm getting maybe 1 in 20.
Huh.
Maybe one. Yeah. But now I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody who's watching, because you guys are awesome. And I was just reading what people were saying in the chat. And they were also saying what has happened to me.
Right.
So I mean I don't know what's going to happen. The form of media, but all I have to say is that you're going to have to just use your critical thinking, because honestly, I tell people who listen to me when I'm just out and about, don't take my word for it. Use critical thinking. And I'm sure that you would agree, even people who watch your channel, hey, don't take my word for it. Use critical thinking. And if alternative media and journalism is being attacked as the way that I know it is right now, the only solution is to just use critical thinking, and you're going to have to just see through the BS, sort of.
Yeah. Well, that's what they don't want you to do, So they're going to try this propaganda instead.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate that even I don't follow that many people on YouTube, and like half of them are gone. Half of them have their channel deleted. But now mine, I got a couple strikes, and so I was really careful about what I said. But I'm sorry. Now it's not really a brief phone conversation. I'm sorry. But,
that's okay.
The video the last video I posted was about how people are attacking the NRA, but are short-sighted in the fact that that we've been bombing hundreds of thousands of innocent people my entire life in the Middle East, and that's like the content of my video, and the title of my video wasn't threatening in any way, and now my account is inaccessible and I can't post anything.
Really? So did you get a strike for a video that said that? Is that what you're saying?
No, I had 2 prior strikes.
Oh, okay.
For different things, but I mean, it's if you look at some of the other quote unquote alternative media and alternative journalists that are on YouTube, because they're large and they have a lot of subscribers, and I believe they're honestly being funded corporately. Like I said, controlled opposition. But you look at the titles of their videos, and they're really volatile as far as how YouTube views and edits and try.
They're able to get away with more, is what you're saying?
They're able to get away with a lot more, and that's why. So there's people who think, oh, I'm not watching Fox, or I'm not watching MSNBC, or I'm not watching CNN or anything. I'm getting my news from this person, and this is alternative media, and therefore I'm informed.
Right.
And it's like, no, it's the same agenda.
Right.
Look at the agenda, and also follow the money. I mean, it's history repeats itself over and over, and it's a cliche. That term is a cliche for a reason, and I just want to say that unfortunately, we're getting to a point where I think it's all information is going to be edited and censored, and it's happening a lot sooner than I thought it would. So I just want to let everyone out there who's listening, let them know that we're going to just have to use our critical thinking. It's going to get to a point where you can literally not trust anything. I mean, what the FBI and the FBI and the CIA are working with Facebook and Google, and they want to have unmanned, unpiloted drones and stuff like that are just basically working off of what Google Maps is. It's insane. But anyway, that's all. That's pretty much the point I wanted to make. And
Great.
I thank you, because you're one of the only channels that I can trust. I like to feel like I have a strong BS detector, and when I watch you, I know that you're speaking the truth. And there's a lot of quote unquote truthers out there that are misinformed, and I really appreciate your channel, because I know that you are informed. And I just wanted to kind of give you a warning that YouTube doesn't necessarily have to delete you in order to silence you.
Right. No, I know, and I'm aware of this problem. So, all right, Nathan, thanks for calling in.
I just found out today. Yeah. Hey, thank you, and I'll enjoy. Keep on watching the live stream here.
Okay,
right
cool.
On.
Thanks. Okay, I had to go because Denise is in the chat. She seemed upset that I didn't ask her to be on. In my defense, I didn't have any questions for her. So I thought it might be good for her to join the show, but she's just part of the story. I didn't have any questions for her, but I'm interested in speaking with her. Don't trust me. This is just another kind of propaganda. Propaganda though, in order to raise the vibrations of the people in this universe to achieve a higher dimension. This is Nathan. You're on the air.
Hey, Nathan. How you doing?
Hold on. I'm supposed to get Denise to call in. I don't know if she's calling. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. It's just Denise was supposed to call in, but now I don't see her in the chat. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Recently, I've been aligned as an alt-right. I do not agree with it. I don't feel I have changed.
You have start over again? You have what? I'm sorry. I just didn't understand.
I've been aligned by the public as an alt-righter.
Oh, okay. All right.
But I've been long known as a liberal. My question to you and your audience, in my lifetime, I have been with 2 half-black girls. Does that count as a whole one?
Does that count as a whole one? That's funny. It's weird. It's great when I get prank calls because it means that the show's doing well. People think it's worth calling in. I guess Denise disappeared, so the phone's open again. Denise seemed upset that I didn't ask her for her thing, but I heard everything she said on Defango I heard everything she said on Unirock's show last night. Unirock knew that guy was trolling me. Yeah, I already hung up. Some people are being mean to Denise in the chat. I don't know if those are trolls. She might have trolls follow her around. I used to get trolled really hard. Anytime I showed up anywhere, there are a few people who are really being mean to Denise in my chat, and I don't recognize them. So I don't think they're listeners to my show. I think she has trolls that maybe follow her around. Phone's open, though. I guess anybody could call because she disappeared. We're talking about Jerome Corsi being Q, the newest puzzle from Cicada, I imagine. And then Jason Goodman. I mean, what can I say? His channel shut down. The problem that the last caller was talking about is a problem I noticed first when trying to click on Jason Goodman's channel to see what his latest adventures were. And let's see if it works right now. I clicked on it and it worked now. So that's good. Due to a malicious anonymous complaint attack, Crowdsourced Truth can no longer upload videos. They're doing it on Patreon. I asked him to come on my dang show so he can get the word out. This is Nathan. You're on the air.
Hey, Nathan.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good.
It's Rich. Long time no talk.
It's good to have you back.
Oh, man. You've been covering some really cool stuff recently, and I feel bad that you've been getting all these strikes and stuff.
Yeah.
I watch your show, and you never bully people, and it's just silly, but I just wanted to kind of bring something up recently, and I don't want to call the person out by name, but I've been noticing recently, like, there's a lot of stuff that, when you look at, like, flat earth theory or these important events that happen, the things that we're taught in school, like stuff like Darwinism, right, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that so much of the time, like, these people that are quote-unquote important in the history of, like, entertainment now that we have, science that we've been taught, they all have been revealed to be like parts of, like, secret societies, stuff like that.
Right.
Like Darwin was a Freemason, Albert Pike,
George Washington.
Like stuff like American football is a distraction, right?
Right.
And the NFL was started in, I believe, the late 20s, around that time. Do you know the father of American football?
No,
Okay, his name is Walter Camp. There's a trophy named after him for college football player of the year. He was a member of Skull and Bones.
No, really?
So how far back does the distraction of American football go, right? To plant the seeds, you know?
Right. Interesting.
Baseball is a Masonic game. Look at the way the field is laid out, right? Like a square and compass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's just amazing. And then so, you know, you look in these events and like American entertainment shows like for example, the Dukes of Hazzard, Hazard County, the place that it's based on is a place on the 33rd parallel.
Interesting.
You know,
Right.
And so you have all these things, references back to the Dukes of Hazzard, and it reinforces these things, right, over time.
Right.
The Southern flag is in there and everything.
Right.
And then,
right.
you know, you look at certain events and like Boss Hogg, right?
Right.
HOGG. Interesting last name, right?
Right.
You know, then you have these events that come up again, and all of a sudden you have these names that recur.
Right.
And I don't know. I just find it funny that if you look at stuff, you take it apart. There's so many of these insider people that they're not there by accident, you know.
Right. Right. Well, it certainly seems that way when you put everything together. It does seem like it all connects, and like there's some kind of secret structure behind everything. But I can't say for sure that it's an organized, top-down production being put on for the world, or if it's just the way things fall together naturally from the way the creator made this universe, or what. And I don't think all Freemasons are bad either. Like, I don't know if George Washington was bad, you know? So it's just complicated. It's complicated the way things work. And even secret societies, there's probably some people in there who aren't, but you know, who don't want anything bad and try to do good things. And maybe they end up part of history too. But it's weird when you start getting into stuff that you realize a lot of the people we've been told are heroes maybe weren't really, and people like Einstein were totally right when I don't think he was. So anyway.
Right. And then, you know, just another thing, I just saw a video recently on YouTube, and I think it was ODD TV or something, and it was just a compilation of like these newscasters. I don't know if you saw this video.
I played it. I actually played it at the opening of my show today because it's interesting in the news.
But yeah, it was just amazing. Like all the different outlets, and they're saying the exact same things. It's like, okay, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they were all given a script, and it's all to, like I said, to try to shut down alternative news viewpoints, keep people from looking in the other direction, keep people looking only at their TV set for the real news. So it's definitely some kind of propaganda campaign. But yeah, when the show's over, you can go back. I covered that at the beginning of the show.
Oh, terrific. Yep. Okay, yeah. I just came in late and I saw you were live. I was like, oh, shoot, I'll call in.
Cool. I'm glad you were able to get on. Thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Hey, have a great show.
Okay, thanks.
Keep it good.
See ya. Of course. Always have a great show. Thanks, everybody who's tuned in. Thanks, everybody who's tuned in on Twitch. Thanks, everybody who's tuned in on YouTube. Thanks for being able to talk to Unirock. Thanks, Denise, for tuning in. Although we lost her. It would have been interesting if she had something to say. I just wanted to, well, it doesn't matter. I already told you. Who cares? I didn't have any questions for her. Doesn't mean I'm mean or anything. This is Nathan. You're on the air.
Hi, Nathan. How are you doing?
Doing great, thanks.
Hey, listen, I found you a really long time ago, and I just recently found you again, and I just wanted to say that I love your show. I love your honesty, and I wanted to make a comment in regards to Q.
Oh, great.
Like from what I'm looking at and what I'm hearing and all these channels and what Uni was saying about Corsi and the whole conversation, obviously, in my opinion, I think that Q might be, I don't know, a handful of, you know, white hats, and that's it. I mean, why all of a sudden did Corsi become Mr. like, I could only decode Q, like I'm the Q god? I think it's a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah,
what are your thoughts?
I can see the incentive for everybody who claims to be the person who can decode what Q is really saying, and that goes to even maybe Anti-School or Tracy Beans or people who, and there's this incentive for listeners, for donations that goes along with that. I mean, the trouble I have with Q is maybe at the beginning it's white hats in a way, and I do think that maybe at the beginning it was a way to distribute information, to reveal corruption, but only the corruption they wanted to reveal. And that's still the problem with it to me, is that it's all, God and Trump and, support our president. And there's nothing critical of the things he's doing that are demonstrably bad. So those are the parts where where maybe they can be white hats in a way. Maybe they're part of the government. I tend to think it's Cicada too. I tend to think Cicada does have a big role in it as a puzzle as well. And then whether it's used for recruiting people, that's up in the air too. I'm not sure. So, but yeah.
Do you think though that it was to our benefit that Q showed up on scene, in a sense of looking at it like this? If the MSM is just, all about the hate, we already know it. It's like all we do is go around and around and around in circles. That the people that did vote for Trump and did see the vision and wanted to make their lives great again, or feel good about themselves again, and deal with issues that they were dealing with, that Q was kind of like a cheerleader in a sense of, hey, we're here, we're fighting for you, we hear you. Because imagine if Q wasn't around right now. What would all the MAGA people, if you will, what do you think they would be in what, don't you think that they would be so discouraged by being pelted constantly with this insane hate from the left?
Wow. I mean, I think you really hit the nail on the head there, and might have pinpointed the reason for Q's existence is partially to keep trust and hope around Donald Trump, and to actually somehow actually reinforce support for Donald Trump. And and I was thinking, you asked if it was a good thing. So I was thinking today about selling T-shirts, because we enjoy the clothing side of things too. And I was thinking, well, more people have to wake up, right? For more people to think about stuff like wearing a Russian bot shirt or Truth Matters or whatever. And I was thinking, and I actually thought, well, Q actually, helps with that in a way. And that even though there are people brainwashed into the Q thing, they still are thinking differently than they used to. And they've been willing to consider and accept a different form of reality than they've been pitched before. And now some of those are breaking off and realizing and asking more and more questions. So it may be in the end it's beneficial, maybe in the end that's beneficial.
I think that you're right, and I think that it is because, at the end of the day, right? We want to raise the vibration, man. We want to feel good about who we are, what we're doing, what direction we're going, and being able to have a conversation and not be smashed in the head. I mean, does the MSM really think that we are absolutely, completely brain dead retarded?
Apparently.
Do they really think that that what they've done now is actually emboldened? Like you've got a show now, right? You've got a voice. You're using your voice. You're speaking. You're talking. We're having an open, fair discussion, minus the trolls. Who cares about the trolls, right?
Right.
Whatever. Q is an inspiration regardless. Hey, listen, Q could put out one post that goes, hey, we love you. We're here, right? And everybody goes, yes, thank God somebody's on our side.
Right.
If you will.
Right. Well,
Instead of this so I think your T-shirt and the Q, with just a Q, is opening up another conversation of, it's not about hashtag MAGA. It's about hashtag us. Hashtag we have something to say. Open your eyes. Open your mind. There's more stuff going on here.
Right.
And maybe that people can get heard, for God's sake.
Right, right. Well, it's the only thing I would push back on that, because it all sounds good. We do want to raise the vibrations. The only thing I have trouble with is that it's putting our hope and our thoughts for saving ourselves, right, into another person or into our government. And to me, the idea of raising our vibrations and stuff.
Wait, I'm so sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay.
But instead of that, what about putting it into an idea?
Right.
Not into a person.
Right.
The Q represents the idea of expanding one's mind. That's all.
Right.
It's an idea. It's not a person. If we can change the thought process on changing the identity to that, well, then that opens up a whole new generation, if you will, of thought. And what do we want people to do? We want them to think for themselves.
Well, I can't argue with the thesis. I can argue about whether the method of doing that is going towards that goal or not. But I can't argue with the thesis. And if you think that's what Q is doing for people, then I think that's great. And I do think there are a number of people who got caught up in it who are starting to ask more questions. And once you've been willing to challenge your preconceived beliefs once, then it becomes easier each successive time. So if that's what Q is doing for people, then I think that's great. I don't.
I mean, do you think that he might be doing that? I mean, even a little bit of that. I mean, just you listen to people. You have your own show, right? Right. Mm-hmm. You're talking to people all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's like the one thing what's the commonality? I mean, let's get rid of all the decoding, whatever, cha-cha-chaing, but like the real bones of the matter. Like, what has Q done for you?
For me, you're asking what I've gotten out of Q? Not really, very, very little. I thought it was interesting at the beginning with some the talk about Saudi Arabia, and I thought there might have been some inside information, and the Rothschild helicopter crash was interesting. But I've thought from very early on that it wasn't interesting to me, mostly because it's just revealing information, mostly that was already available and known to people who have been looking into stuff harder for longer, Pizzagate and stuff. And but at the same time, this Trump thing, this Trump and God thing, creeped in very early, and it's cult like.
What do you mean this Trump and God thing? Can you expand?
Well, just that he frequently combines those two ideas, that Donald Trump and God are on our side, and just have faith, that and believe in Trump, or whether it's trust sessions or whatever it might be. That's the thing I have trouble with. Making people think about some of this stuff and realizing what corruption lies underneath the surface is all well and good. It wasn't interesting. It didn't do anything to me but piss me off, to be honest, because I think people are being totally misled. But
because you think that people are being misled, is that what you said?
Mm-hmm. Personally.
So do you think that we've got? I understand. Do you think that we've got two groups of people being misled? And that's why everybody's just going around and around and around in circles, searching for what in the heck is happening here.
Parallel psyops, you could call them, and they're all over the place, and that's what I'd like to figure out by talking to some of the players and stuff. I think left, right, center, there are psyops going on, directing people in different directions, and Q is just another example of something that, if they weren't getting it there, they'd be getting it from somewhere else, and maybe Q is better than getting a different kind of psyop run on you and think in some different direction. And if it helps people to have hope, that's great. I just feel like, psychological operations a lot of time involve hope and then being let down. And there have been a lot of letdowns in the Q predictions,
And then aside from Q, though, don't you think, not everything, obviously, but just one thing, like a few things I think that are undeniable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look at what's going on in North Korea and the possibility there. Just that by itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, take everything else out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That by itself, the prediction, if you will, that's what was coming down the pike. And then now we're seeing the possible manifestation of it, kind of intriguing, isn't it?
Well, what did he predict about North Korea? The only one of the things I remember about North Korea was Zach coming on InfoWars and saying we were going to use space weapons against them to do a regime change. So I don't know what saying he was representing Q. What did he say about there possibly being peace with
that guy? I'm so sorry. It's so hard to keep track. I forget how many people are now, high-level intelligence officers.
Right,
They
exactly.
seem to be everywhere, right?
Right.
Everybody's got intel. Everybody's got a source. It's just like, come on, man.
Right.
But to your point, and I can't remember the quote exactly, and I'm not going to refer to Zach.
Right.
But from what I can recall, it was that progress. It alluded to progress being made in a peaceful way with the North Korean regime. I mean, that's as close as I can get.
Right.
Because I don't have it in front of me, and I wouldn't want to purport to, quote anybody.
Sure.
Because I'm not looking at it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, in as much as that's the case, there are a lot of things people will point to, to say that Q's predictions have come true and that he's never been wrong. And I could look into what he said about North Korea. I mean, I've kind of explained, where I'm at on it, and I appreciate where you're coming from too, because there are going to be people who think that I'm too negative about it. So I appreciate your point of view. I gotta get another call though. So I appreciate you calling in.
Well, listen, thank you so much for taking my call, and
Thank you.
Keep charging.
Okay.
This is what this is about, right?
I think so.
We're supposed to be talking, not fighting, right?
Right, exactly. Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Do you guys think that was set up? Do you think that was set up, or do you think it was legit? You think I was a legit person? I don't know. It was interesting. That's why I don't know about people who believe that stuff about Q. I don't know if they're being genuine, because part of me thinks that they can't. How are people genuinely supporting? But then you go to the CBTS stream and man, everybody's Q. So maybe it's genuine. Maybe that's the genuine positive thing behind Trump. And I said my feeling. Here's another unknown caller. We'll pray for a prank call. This is Nathan. You're on the air.
Hey, about your last caller.
Are you the last caller, did you say?
No,
about my last caller. Yeah, go ahead.
Being rude. What was wrong with this lady? Can you tell me one thing this Q is predicted?
I can't. And I don't know what she was referring to with the North Korea thing. So, no, I can't.
I'd like to comment specifically on her claim that this is good because it's out there. We all know it's out there. We all know the world is messed up. We don't need to be led down goose chases from the real thing. I struggle to understand why people grasp onto this QAnon story.
I'm with you. And the one thing I might say is that you maybe before Q came on the scene might have been more aware of some of the corruption and some of the stuff that hides under the surface of things than some of the people that took the red pill by following Q and are just learning stuff for the first time. So maybe that made that more appealing to that group of people. It seems like maybe there's a large group of people that never thought about stuff like that before, like you and I did. Perhaps, is that possible?
You might be right, but again, I haven't seen what it is offering.
Oh,
what
yeah.
sort of enlightenment it is beyond the fact that, hey, you can go out there and be enlightened, like
Right.
the old spirit quests. But let's be honest, spirit quests were designed for idiots, and in and of themselves are psychological operations.
That's entirely possible. That's a point. That's an interesting point of view.
Yes. Well, I don't want to tie up your lines.
Oh,
I
well,
just
it's
wanted
great.
to counter this lady. I wholly disagree with every word she spoke.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. It's thanks for calling in and giving me your thoughts on it.
I appreciate your time. Thank
See ya.
you.
Yeah. Well, see, I mean, I like to be diplomatic, and I think I was but while still giving my opinion. But that's probably true of a lot of the people who listen to my show. So I'm trying to be, there might be people who don't listen to my show who think the way that lady thinks legitimately. And I'm willing to accept that. There was a time when I might say that anybody who said that was an agent. There was a time back in the day when I would say, agent, get off my phone. But not today. Today we give everybody the benefit of the doubt. But it was kind of propaganda-like what that call was saying. It was kind of weird to me. It was kind of weird, stuck with the pre-scripted narrative a little. No offense to that caller, because it was very interesting for everybody. Phone's open again, 650-429-8294. Thanks, everybody in the chat. Everybody's active. We have 56 people tuned in on Twitch. Not sure how many on YouTube. 270 some. So it's a nice, active show. I appreciate it. It's good. I'm leading into the Quite Frankly show. I'll take one more phone call. I've been doing my best to be a lead-in for that show just because it's another live show. And actually, if Unirock's on, you might want to tune into Unirock too, like I will be most likely. I'm just trying to find where I pick up the phone. This will be my last call, I think. This is Nathan. You're on the air.
Hey, Nathan. It's Eileen here from One. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. From where?
From Channel 1. I was up with you late last night in Unirock's investigation.
Oh, yeah.
On the live dive.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I just had to say that there's a couple of people in here from Unirock's channel who watch my videos, and they're very spiritual. I'm all for lifting the vibration through love, forgiveness, happiness, peace. But I didn't agree with a thing that woman was saying. Not one thing. I felt that she was kind of fake when she goes, lying is good for us because it makes us feel good. I think as soon as she said that, my internal BS detector went crazy.
Yeah. Without jumping to any conclusions, that was the first question I had to ask, once the call was over, but I wanted to give her, I wanted to hear her argument for sure, because even if it is some kind of, like I said, an agent or something, it's good to hear what the line of thought is for people who are, because a lot of people say this is the same kind of general thing, which is that regardless of what you think of Q, regardless of the origins of Q, regardless of if it's an intelligence operation, it doesn't matter. What's wrong with people having hope? What's wrong with giving people hope in the government and the president? Well, I suggest there are some things wrong with it. But, that's the argument.
When the truth is missing, it's emotional manipulation.
Right.
But you didn't say that. I would have been triggered, and I wouldn't have gotten very far with that call. And so I was writing in the comments, you're so diplomatic, because really that's what diplomatic people do. They actually hear out the other side instead of getting triggered and going, no, that's absolutely wrong. It's not good to lie to people. At one point she said, it's good to lie to people because it makes them feel good. It lifts their vibration and all that stuff. So I knew she wasn't truly in the spiritual side either because they don't really talk, say it that way.
Right.
And then she said, and it makes them think for themselves. So when I follow the logic of lie to people so they feel good, which equals thinking, critical thinking,
right.
I just didn't feel she was a true Q-tuber because I'm not a Q-tuber. I thought Q was a psyop from day one. I didn't even believe in the real Q or the first Q.
Right.
It just didn't feel right. And the way she was saying it was like a Q promoter, not a true believer, because the true believers in Q, they go, well, hey, come on, this guy is giving us, I don't know if they can actually list facts, but they sound more genuinely under the Q spell than she did.
Right. Like she was justifying the operation of Q rather than the information of Q, more why the psychological warfare was okay. Yeah.
Good for you, yeah.
And good
Makes
for you.
Feel good, higher vibrations. She didn't mention 5D Earth or the shift or anything. I do a lot of videos on that stuff, so I'm a very spiritual person. But I come from a political background as well and a news background. And she just sounded like a psyop promoter to me.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
That's what I'll agree with you that's what it sounded like. I'm going to try not to rush to the conclusion that that's what it was, but I agree that that's exactly what it would sound like if it was some kind of basically, propaganda, propaganda.
You're just nicer than me.
So, all right.
I'll let somebody else call in. Thanks so much, Nathan.
Cool. Thanks. See ya.
Bye.
Okay. I said that would be the last call, but somebody just left me a voicemail. Let me see. Somebody's trying to get through. Okay. Okay. Well, as long as there's people calling, as long as there are people calling, I should say. Let me open the phone. It's cool. There are a few people still trying to call in, it looks like. I'm available. This is Denise. Oh. Oh, Denise left me a message, actually. I wonder who this is. Unknown caller. This is Nathan. You're on the air.
Yeah. I'm curious about, it seems like everyone that ever calls you, if you don't agree with them, then they're an agent or a bot or what is that about?
I said exactly the opposite. In fact, we just did a phone call basically where somebody else called in and said that person sounded like an agent. I said it sounded kind of unusual. I haven't said that people were agents and bots since last summer.
That's not what you said.
Okay.
You said I'll tell you what I heard.
Okay.
And then of course that could be, I can go back and be corrected because I certainly could be wrong.
Okay.
But what I feel like I heard was after that long phone call with that lady, the first lady, and then you hung up, and I will give you credit for, I think you said something like, well, in the old days I would have just cut her off and, said that's an agent, which you didn't do. But you still bring it up because you say, oh, do they would think that sounded like a weird call or an agent call? That still alludes to that. Now, I'm not saying, you're perfectly allowed to say everyone's an agent. I'm an agent, you're an agent, your cat's an agent. But it seems to me that it devalues, it makes it seem like, well, if you're not on the exact same page, then that's gonna be your new label.
Sure, I can understand where you're coming from. I think, in a sense, I was saying what my audience was already thinking, so I was just kind of relating what my thoughts were. But like I told my last caller who called in to say that person was definitely an agent and I should have my head checked, I'm not ready to jump to that conclusion, and I'm curious.
Was Was it the guy or the gal? I turned my volume.
Yeah, the girl that called right before you did called in. She has a channel and stuff.
I caught the first half of her
Yeah.
thing. I didn't catch the end because I turned my volume down because I was going to call you. But so it ended up where basically she was just saying definitively that she thinks that person was an agent, right?
Based on what she said. I mean, listen, there are some of us that don't understand the Q phenomenon, so can't understand someone legitimately having the opinion that that lady had, and then there are a lot of logical fallacies that we see in that what that person said. But I certainly don't, and I try my best ever since I had, an issue with thinking that kind of anybody who disagreed with me was some kind of agent or bot. I don't want to get into that trap. So, I
agree. I think, and I have been watching you off and on for quite a while now, and I float in and float out. I find all of this stuff super interesting, not just Q. I guess things that were kind of labeled like conspiracy theory or whatever in the past, although I hate that title. And I don't like. Do you apply the moniker of truther to yourself?
Truth. I just use the words that everybody knows. That's why I even say conspiracy theorist, because I don't care if somebody calls me that, because I think about possible conspiracies and. But truther, I'll say that just because it's something people recognize. There's no perfect word for what we do, researchers.
But I'll tell you, but I think I think it's fairly accepted. Maybe not. Maybe it's still kind of a fringe. But I can remember reading something about the conspiracy theorist as a label was propagated by the CIA. Wanted to use that as a way to shift. That way you could easily just use a 2-word label, and then anyone around would know, we better discount whatever that guy says.
Right.
Crazy.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I'm trying to, in a way, actually take a little power away from that being something that is a negative label, actually, but by kind of just using it and not using it in a bad way. But I'm aware that it was something that was developed to discredit people who were anti-war or whatever they might be.
That
So
in itself is a psyop, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that essentially is a psyop, which is you say, well, we're gonna make a concerted effort to take this particular word, and we'll make sure that it's used a lot, and it's used precisely in the same manner, which is to always say that anyone that has kind of a 1-degree shift in the way they see the world is crazy.
Right.
So they did a great job of that. And the truther, and I think the truther moniker is, I think it came out of like the 9/11.
9/11 truth. Yeah, kind of.
Right.
Yep.
And so I think it was originally like the mantra was, we want the truth about 9/11.
Right.
Then somehow that got usurped and kind of replaced conspiracy theorists, and now we've gotten it. They've managed to shave it down to 1 word. It used to take 2 words to establish your nut job.
Right.
Now it only takes 1. They've even shortened the path. So
Right.
Crazy
Right. Well, we don't want to give them the power of words.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
I have a friend who uses that moniker all the time, right? Like he will announce to the world he's a truther, and I told him and the same thing, which is, dude, that's a horrible. It's almost worse than conspiracy theories because to me it's the same mechanism that's been used by religion and anything. Well, especially religion, which is, a truther implies that you possess something that the rest of us don't.
Right.
And that is a powerful position to be in, right? So I feel like when I hear people say, well, I'm a truther, that's what the message is. But just like any religion that says we have access to the one true God.
Right.
So
I understand what you're saying.
I'm here, right? And so the same thing applies. I hate all those labels because you can't be a normal person in this world and say, well, I mean, there's some questions about certain events.
Right.
And, people just immediately that's it. You're done.
Right, I understand. We don't really need to have a label. It should just be someone who's willing to look at things the way they are. All right, I appreciate the call. I gotta move on. Other people are trying to call in. I appreciate it, man. Thanks. All right, see ya. Okay, interesting. I guess I don't know what his point of view was. He thought I don't really call people agents. Actually, I thought I was pretty diplomatic. I'll take another call because people were saying I have to take more. Quite frankly, is probably live now. But anyway, I'm doing a good enough job. Shit, I'm telling people about his show. Don't have to do that. I hardly even watch. Just so I know that he's live. This is Nathan. You're on the air.
Hi, Nathan. This is Betty from Olympia, Washington. I've been trying to call in. I'm so glad you picked up.
Cool. I'm glad you got through.
Yeah. Hey, so I just wanted to say real fast that in 2008, when Obama was elected, I voted for him. I was so excited. And then in 2012, when he signed the NDAA, is when I said, okay, wait a minute, something's wrong. Something's not right. Anyways, so long story short, everybody, back in the day in 2012, there was like David Wilcox and all that, where all these kind of hippie or whatever, different people, we believed that Obama was going to put the Bushes in jail, and he was keeping Guantanamo Bay open for, for the Bushes and blah, blah, blah. It's the same stuff Q's saying.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Back in the day, I actually, I think around the time, after Q came out, I went and I referenced David Wilcock, Benjamin Fulford, who both have been talking about mass arrests since 2012. And I said, right. How is this different? It's exactly the same story. And it didn't happen back then. It's the same guys selling subscriptions or selling books or whatever it is. And yeah, I said it's not even a different psyop, really. It's the same one.
Yeah, that was for the Democrats back then, the ones that were on the fence. And now this one's for the Republicans that are on the fence.
Right.
It's like, hang in there.
Right.
For some reason. And then the other thing I wanted to say real fast was, here's a big psyop that I thought was kind of a weird one, was not to bag on Richie from Boston. I like him. I listen to him. But he was talking about, remember the movie, or the guy that got killed, or he supposedly killed his wife and his kid? He was doing the movie Gray State. So the movie Gray State came out, or part of it came out on Netflix, and I watched it. And it was, you could just totally see, like, so fake and phony. And I was really upset when the guy got killed, or supposedly killed, or suicide himself and his family. But I watched the Netflix Gray State, and to me it was so fake and phony. Supposedly this guy videotaped himself the whole time, and he's dead now. But anyways, I think that was a big psyop.
You think? Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah, it's possible. And then maybe the murder-suicide might have been part of it too. I never know. I never know with people who are supposedly whistleblowers or supposedly exposing things, who don't seem to be exposing things or seem to be doing the exact opposite. Yeah, I wonder what's going on with that kind of thing. I didn't see the movie. I haven't seen the Gray State movie you're referring to, but I remember I've heard about the apparent murder-suicide thing.
Right, and so when you watch the Netflix documentary of him, it just seems really fake and phony. And then obviously I don't believe anything anymore. Once you lie to me, then it's like, Right. It's hard to believe and they have the money and this total psyops. They study this stuff since, the 40s, and who knows, probably even further than that, how to manipulate. So it's all, but anyways, I'm glad you're doing everything you're doing, and I love listening to you. So.
Thanks. Thanks for that.
Glad to talk to you.
Good talking to you too. Thanks for the call.
You bet. Bye.
Bye. Show's going. People are really appreciating the show these days. Apparently, quite frankly, he's having an issue with his stream, so we're okay. We're okay staying live. I'll take more calls. I don't care. The way this channel works, nobody tunes in afterwards. It doesn't go in the algorithm or whatever. So might as well get people tuned in while it's live. Man, yeah, YouTube is messed up right now. I'm trying to click on Quite Frankly show, can't get through. I think more people were trying to call than just the people who got through. A lot of calls from private numbers today. Only one prank call. 200 people tuned in to Quite Frankly. Oh yeah, it's working. Okay. Let's see. It looked like there were still a few people trying to call in. Denise called. Sorry, I didn't get to Denise. I think maybe somebody else was trying to call. If not, then I'll wrap up the show. Thanks for supporting the show. Thanks everybody who's been getting t-shirts and merchandise. Trying to make that thing help support the show since crypto is not so good. This is Nathan. You're on the air.
Hi, Nathan. It's John from Vancouver Island.
Hey, what's up, John from Vancouver Island?
Hey. Well, I'm just calling because you're still looking for callers. Not that I have a whole lot on my plate that I want to talk about. But we could speculate on Douglas Gabriel as to exactly what is he's trying to do.
Well, I am very interested in what him, DeFango, and whoever else is involved in Cicada and stuff is trying to do. I'm really interested. That's why I asked him to come on my show right away last week. I asked him again this weekend. Actually, I sent him an email today. He's not answering at the moment. Last week, he just turned me down politely. But want to know. Jason Goodman, Thomas Paine, a.k.a. Doug Gabriel, and then DeFango too, but I don't bother talking to DeFango much because you can't get a straight story from him. So very interested. What do you think?
I don't have an opinion yet. One thing that I noticed was DeFango used a similar language towards you a while back. And what I mean by that is he said he manipulated you into either calling or that sort of thing. And it was the same type of language that
Doug Gabriel used. Yeah.
Yeah, Doug Gabriel used on Jason Goodman. So I really noticed a similar approach there.
That was very astute of you. Yes, both Doug Gabriel and DeFango always act as if, or seem to act as if they're the ones in control and they're the ones that, like DeFango, he's the one that chose me. He said that even recently. He's the one that chose me to spread information about Cicada. And, and like everything's planned. And then Doug Gabriel saying, no, I made you call me. And Jason Goodman's like, what do you mean? I was asking to call you. You know what I mean? It was like Jason Goodman was suddenly reasonable. And, it's the same language, I'm telling you. And the fact that DeFango won't be straight about the fact that he knew him from before. And then they're pretending they're just meeting for the first time. And they're both puzzlers. I think they're both Cicada. And I think there's enough out there to reveal that. So I want to know more. I'd like to talk to him. I don't think anybody's going to come on my show, but they're invited. I've reached out to him directly, so I'd like to know.
Yeah. Okay. And also, there was a video that Douglas did, where he's just, practically making DeFango of, a near god.
Yeah, right. Well, that's what I mean. Right. And pretending he didn't know him from before.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
saying DeFango was the guy that is like a genius cryptologist, and DeFango, at first credit, said, "Oh well, I just did a few things here and there." But his head was so far up his butt, it was really insane to me when I heard it was crazy the way it opened, because I know DeFango. I follow DeFango on Steemit. I see him write, and I know that he can't put together a sentence, when he puts it on paper. So I don't see how he's not, I can't see him being this genius mastermind that Douglas made him out to be. So then that was right away. I was like, something is really wrong here.
So maybe someone like DeFango, who is a good cryptographer.
Yeah.
All of his energy goes into that, so he's got none left over to form a sentence.
Right, exactly. Something like that. I don't know. But, DeFango and me are kind of friends or frenemies, so I keep talking to him. I think he's cool when he's not lying, or LARPing or whatever you want to call it. But that's way too much of the time.
Let me ask you this question is, like, on the alternative media, this is a big deal. This is a real puzzlement, but on the mainstream, it doesn't exist.
You mean, sorry, you're saying in the alternative media, this is, what are you saying, this being?
Well, it's a big deal in the sense that, the Q seem to be predicting events, but then not so much. You've got Douglas Gabriel saying everything Trump does is the right thing, so don't worry.
Right.
But at the same time, he's unlike Q, who says Jeff Sessions ought to be, fired and replaced.
Right. I don't get it. Parallel psyops is all I can say. It's some kind of truth. I think he told a lot of the truth. And like DeFango said, apparently he was authorized to do that and kind of put out there to say what he said and create those ripples. And now we're seeing some other level of the game. I mean, it's a never-ending puzzle with these people. So I'll try to keep getting to the bottom of it,
Right. The only other thing with Douglas Gabriel is he's challenging every alternative type like yourself.
Right.
To really, I don't know what he expects, but the SES, the Senior Executive Service, he's sort of saying, well, anyone who wants to have anything done needs to look at that issue and then do what? I don't really know.
I don't know either. I'm like, why do I want to cover the SES? Now everybody's covering it, I don't have any thoughts about it in particular, and I don't appreciate somebody saying because I'm not covering it, I'm not a truth.
Right,
I'm not really after the truth. I think that's a weird thing. I'm following the story of it, but I'm still not convinced about the SES yet. Although I think it's an interesting kind of conspiracy theory, if you will. About what's going on, but I haven't found the interest in covering it at the moment. There are lots of other conspiracies going on around that are equally troublesome, if not more so. And I think it's worth covering Donald Trump because he's the guy making a lot of these crazy decisions right now. So, and that's the one thing none of these other people want to talk about. So,
well, what do you think of him selecting Bolton and?
I think it's mental.
Pompeo, and then that woman. Oh,
yeah, God. I think it's mental.
It just seems so dark at this point, selecting those people.
It does. I mean, it seems like we'll cancel the Iran deal, which, from what I understand, isn't a good thing to do. I have no problem with Iran. I have no problem with North Korea, and the people he just appointed are the people that want to go to war with both, and are very pro-Zionist. And will lead us down, into dark days if they have a choice about it. So the only good news is I've heard from Trump is he's pulling out of Syria, which was totally unexpected. The deep state's totally up in arms that he wants to do it. So and then we have the South Korea, North Korea détente and the meeting with Xi. There's so many different things going on. Some narratives contradicting other narratives. That all I can do is keep plugging away and hoping that it doesn't get as dark as sometimes we think it will.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Nice talking with you.
All right. See ya.
Well.
All right, cool. All right. That's it. I got to go. 2 hours is long. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for being interested in the news. Thanks, mods in the chat. Thanks all the people who joined me on Twitch. You guys know where to find me on Twitch, right? Twitch.tv/lifttheveil411. Sometimes it's fun to go there and play other videos and stuff because I can't do that as much on here. So there are things that happen there that don't happen here sometimes, as well as the other channel, Lift the Veil. Okay, enough of a show. From Doshi, from Sumi, from me, that is what it is.